Now it's our pleasure to talk to our panelists, the first panel of today, and I'm really excited to see what we can work out together for this first panel. So once again, welcome Daniel Caulfield, Michael Fitzsimons. You both are online, you understand us? Let's check if you hear us, and we hear you.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Hear you loud and clear.
Very good. It seems that you are next door, so perfect. And we're happy to have Jean-Luc with us, Frank Schwarz, Keith Johnson. So let's start with Jean-Luc Moner-Banet. Rico already told us he knows you since 20 years, and I go back. You have been the head of Lotterie Romande since 27. You, World Lotteries Association Chairmanship has placed you at a crossroads between gambling cultures and has anchored the importation of success models from other countries, which is very interesting. You have launched in 2010, I believe, the partnership with the PMU on horse racing products. So you are the one in between both worlds, let's say, and I think everybody can follow us on that. So first question to you. It would be if you can tell us a little bit about your experience and what you think about what we can give as the beginning to our audience.
Thank you. Well, thank you first for inviting me to the WoTA forum. It's been a long time. I've not been in this forum. And thank you for the invitation to be on the panel. Yes, of course, we've been commingling with the French PMU at Loterie Romande for 35 years. That's a long time. So we have quite an extensive experience over time that includes the development of the digital space. That was not a reality, obviously, 35 years ago. So the first thing I would like to say, if we have the objective to improve the collaboration between lottery companies and PMU pool companies, is for the lotteries. We must get the lotteries to understand that it is their interest. You know how we can be, sometimes lottery companies, we can be very traditional in our approach to our product, to the market, to the customers. They have to understand that in developing, improving the collaborations with the horse racing industry, the pooling industry, there are much more advantages than problems. Having said that, I will take a few examples just to illustrate what I want to say. In terms of customers, first, we have the same target. We are all both targeting the same population. We are targeting the largest population possible. We are not targeting the heavy players, the heavy punters, but the largest population possible. We want them to play reasonably. We want them to play small amounts frequently. And from the player perspective, what is the expectations that they have from the lotteries? The same as they have from pooling horse racing companies. They want to spend little with huge expectations. They want to win the jackpot. They want to participate in big pool that is giving them expectations to have interesting big dividends. So that's the reason number one why we should try to develop our collaborations. Also, in terms of responsible gaming, in terms of security, we are very similar in terms of what we are expecting and what we try to develop. Also, something that is maybe unique in the gaming industry, the fact that the retail business is still a significant portion of our business. This is true for the lotteries, and it is true also for horse racing industry, at least in our jurisdiction, I think. And we have the same difficulties. Getting into the retail and be successful in this environment is more and more successful. And it is something that we experiment in Switzerland, being able to offer the retail industry all the verticals. We have the lottery, we have the scratch tickets, we have sports betting, and we have horse racing. We have everything together that is giving the point of sales, the retail industry, more perspective to be more successful with them, with their customers when they have gaming in their POS. Finally, maybe, because I realize I can't be too long, IT. IT, we are more and more digitalized, all of us, lotteries, horse racing, sports betting companies. And at Loterie Romande, it is something that we have succeeded to do a long time ago. We have merged all the capabilities, all the resources on the IT side to have all the games on the same platform with a single sign-in, with a single PAM, a player account management, and it is something that the players they love a lot, and that is giving us the possibility to cross-sell across the various verticals. And my final word is on brand. Lotteries, usually they have a very strong brands because they contribute to the good causes and everything we know. And we are the ones who are making the most millionaires. So it is giving us a strong loyalty in the population. Same thing with horse racing. In my case, we commingle with the French PMU, and we've been doing this for 35 years, and we appreciate how strong is the brand of the PMU as well. And the two brands together are really tremendous.
Thank you for that. So two things which I find important, what you said is, first of all, that lotteries and horse race betting has to get closer together and see what chances both sides bring together on the table. And you just mentioned the number of products. So is it very important for the lottery companies to have a wide range of products?
This is my opinion, and this is our approach in Switzerland. I think that there are no longer, or very few customers who are playing in only one vertical. Playing only the lottery, only scratch cards, only sports betting, or only horse racing. More and more, the customers, they want to be able to play under the same roof more and more different games. So it is my strong conviction that if we get to work together, lottery companies, horse racing, and sports betting can really be profitable altogether. That's what the customers are expecting. And even more than on retail, it's true on digital. Digital where, again, under the same roof with only one sign-in, one player account, they can have access to all the products.
You talked also about the brands, which are important, what you said. Is it a kind of trust of the people in the brands?
Absolutely. Well, maybe we will be talking about the illegal activities. We are all facing the same problem. And when the customers have to decide whether they want to play legal with us or illegal, knowing the risks associated to playing legal, a strong brand and well-established brand that is also associated to the good causes is very important to really take over on the illegals.
Thanks for now. We'll talk later on, and I'd like to introduce Frank Schwarz again. So, Sachsenlotto. You're the CEO of Sachsenlotto, had a really successful last year, 2024. Financial year turnover, 342.2 million euros and 169.7 million euros distributed to the Saxon players and 124 million euros paid to the state of Saxony. This is really impressive, we have to mention first. A big part of this figure on classic lottery products, but we have heard that it shows great interest in sport pool also, and maybe also the racing products. So can you tell us more about the company projects right now and the difficulties, or what we heard now, the opportunities as well of the German market?
Okay. Thanks for the kind introduction. Thanks for the invite. It's the first time for me on the WoTA forum, therefore it's an adventure. Since entering a new vertical, and I would like to comment to say a few words about Saxony, since we are communicating out of the twilight zone between a state-owned operator and a market-driven company. That it's unique, and therefore we look at the business a little bit differently. We see it as business, point one. Point two, as in Saxony, we address all verticals in the strategy. I'm not only heading the lottery in Saxony, I'm also heading the land-based casinos. And we were the first state-owned operator in the market of virtual slots in Germany, what is an adventure by its own. And all of this is given by one understanding of we feel responsible for good causes. That's important that it's the DNA, but we feel good causes as not only in giving money, also if the numbers are impressive, we feel good causes as part of building communities, establish some entertainment offerings, and we understand it also as a part of funding for the clubs, the associations, and different things. And all of this, it's setting the scene for our projects. How do we see the world? First, we expect that we have 50% online market share in 2030 in the lotteries. For now, we are at 15% in Germany. You see the gap, what we have to do. The second point, we are on the way of de-anonymize all the customers. What is quite difficult if we come from a terrestrial business in the lotteries. Typically also with scratch cards and all the other verticals, you do not know the customers. And we have clearly the intention to have an entertainment ideas, and all the projects are intended build new offerings, attract new customers, go to the younger cohorts. The typical lottery customers in Germany, it's roughly about 50 years. What it's clearly a strategic risk. But we see, since we are very much involved in the horse racing courses in Saxony, that the interest in this vertical sport betting, horse racing, it's in a way that we also intend to work with them very much closely.
And what we are talking about since a few moments is about both worlds, so lottery on the one hand side, horse racing on the other side. You mentioned one important thing, entertainment. Horse racing can also be entertaining. So are your customers interested in a product like that?
Yeah, we know that our customers, the lottery customers, are really interested in, because we host 2 times in a year in the horse racing courses in Saxony, one racing day, one in Leipzig. I think Alexander Leib is in the room, and we do the same in Dresden. And for our international guests, we have a state-owned stud farm in Saxony. It's Moritzburg. It's worth a visit, and by this, with the customers, we invite approximately 20,000 customers on the racing days and have them there, and we know that they are interested. And the second point, and that's I would like to share, we have finished market research last week. The first time that I can share the numbers, we have asked more than 1,000 men in Saxony about the perception of horse racing, and especially about how to bet on horse race. And the intention rate, it's 42%. It's much higher than expected, and we have given them different offerings to vote for. And now we know the price point, and we know what is the graphical expectation. And based on this, and you can see that we have approximately 250 to 300,000 potential customers in Saxony. That's are the numbers, and it's a good starting point to think about what to do with these numbers. And as you can imagine, if you start this kind of detailed market research, you do it not by academic intention, you do it because to prepare some kind of offerings in the space. And that's what we do right now.
Quite an interesting number, and we heard from Jean-Luc, it's important to have one good brand on the one hand and another one on the other hand. So who could be your future partners if 42% are interested in horse betting?
Yeah, I would like to comment on the brand perception, because it seems that we have a little bit different view on this, because the regulation in Germany is in a way that you have completely different regulations regarding the verticals. And we have seen this in the area of virtual slots. I cannot do the same in virtual slots what I can do in lotteries, and I expect I have the same issues if we go to the sport betting business, or if we discuss about virtual games. And therefore, we have decided to have different brands for the verticals, because otherwise you have to spend the brand too much, and that it's clear really in an area of discussion what we have to do. But we are state-owned and give all this kind of sustainability of good causes and our intention in this area. But I think if we think communication and brand from the operator perspective, we can explain the customer that we are in Saxony, that we are regional, and that we do this for good causes. And specific for Saxony, we do it for entertainment. We try to make them a good time, and that it's the core of the brand perception. And regarding the question to the partners, we never reduce our deal power, but we are here for a reason. And point one, and second, we have a clear expectation for our partners. They must be market driven. That's really important for us. Second, they have to be legal, also in terms of supplier, especially in the slot area. We have an interesting panel of operators and suppliers, right? We are clear on the right side of the business, and we have also the intention to make money and would like to look for partners that have the same intention.
I see, and we hear who it will be in the near future. So we take on Keith Johnson, elected co-chairman of WoTA in August 2024. You have decided under your mandate to accelerate the sport pool projects. We already mentioned it. Frank Schwarz took over for the sport pool as well. And we will see more and hear more about that in the second session. But question for you, what makes you think that sport pool products can conquer new customers in the different markets we were talking about, the world, 20 nations here today?
Sure. So thank you, Thorsten. And as you say, we've got the next panel of Unleashing the Power of the Pool coming up. So I don't want to steal all the thunder from that group, but from a WoTA perspective on parimutuel sports pools, I can tell you that it's a significant majority of the operators within WoTA has decided probably more than 2 years ago now that one of the big areas that we should be trying to diversify and grow pool betting is in the area of sports. You know, if you look around right now between various operators in the group and others, it is somewhat fragmented. There are some sports pools that are already out there in varying degrees of success and size, but it's fragmented, kind of not unlike what horse racing was on an international level, 20 plus years ago. I'm kind of dating myself. It might even be longer than that. When I was first coming over for the EPMA panels and talking about how we could commingle things and enjoy the power of the pool on the horse racing side. So it's a bit fragmented, we made the decision as a group that we wanted to make that one of the big mandates coming into this year. Thus far, up until this date, it had been a lot of talk about doing this, and there's some challenges that have to be overcome. We'll get into the technology, we'll get into the regulatory side in the next panel. But we decided it was time to put significant resources into it on behalf of the operators of WoTA. A few months ago now, we voted to do exactly that, so it is just progressing. Ilva will walk you through what we're doing as an association to try to promote it. High level, what we've seen is significant growth in sports betting globally, albeit at different levels of maturity between the markets. The U.S. side is, I would say, still in its relative infancy, starting around 2019 in earnest. Up until now, and of course you had COVID in between, so it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but it has certainly succeeded and grown. And as good as that is working out in terms of seeing that growth for the sports betting operators, I can tell you that the data that we're seeing from some of the leagues and content providers is that it's still underserved. At least in particular sports, and maybe even the mainstream sports that are currently succeeding in fixed odds betting. NASCAR was going to join us today. Unfortunately, Joe Solosky got caught in some travel woes yesterday, so they won't be able to join today. But they're one good example of a group that has incredible following in the U.S. I was just at one of their events a month ago or so, and there was over 200,000 people there. So they have a very sticky, very strong customer loyal following, rabid following, if you will, that are looking for more products that are related to it. And I'm getting, in addition to NASCAR, I can tell you that I'm getting regularly, particularly since we've made some of these press releases, calls from different leagues and content providers out there, small and big, and some obscure and some not so obscure, that are saying that they've got the similar type databases in place and strength and fandom that are saying that they want different types of events to bet on that are more in line with the popularity. So that begs the question for me, and which is, well, if that's the case, if there is such demand out there across auto racing and other forms of alternative sports, as well as the mainstream sports, why has that not grown? And I think there's multiple answers to it. Certainly, looking at it through the U.S. lens, again, at the relative infancy, you've got sports betting operators that have been focusing on the mainstream sports, acquiring customers, and it's all understandably so. They're focused on American football, they're focused on basketball, and then the remainder of the mainstream sports. So they're focusing on that, and they've been less focused on things like NASCAR. There's inherently, with certain types of events, there's more complicated outcomes. So not only are they focused on the mainstream sports, but to the extent that they want to get involved in some of the other sports and types of markets, it is more difficult to handicap, more difficult to price, and thus far they just haven't made the decision to go in that direction. There's also some complexity around how many markets they would offer and the types of markets that you can do. Parimutuel fits in really nicely because it's risk-free, as we know. We're not so much worried about establishing prices. We can let the market establish the price. In addition to that, there's demand in those sports as well as the mainstream sports for more exotic bet types, jackpot, life-altering type payout bets that's currently also being underserved on the fixed odds side. So Parimutuel provides a perfect solution for all of those challenges, and and by the way, the good news is because of the efforts of this group and operators within this group over the past decades, largely the technology and the plumbing for this and the networking and the relationships, all these things that we went through to commingle our horse racing products globally are essentially in place. There's regulatory hurdles depending on the market, but we're all in a position now where we can enable this, and it's really not that difficult. So punchline is we're very optimistic on it. On behalf of First Technology, we're extremely optimistic on the future of parimutuel sports, and I think World Tote Association as a group, you're going to see significant movement in that direction.
Thanks. So now we will take the experience now from other two panelists, and I'm happy to welcome Daniel Caulfield, Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation, shortly said OLG, and the Woodbine Entertainment Group have made a recent deal with will enable lottery customers to place bets online on live horse races. So can you tell us how this agreement came to life?
Sure. Firstly, great to join you all. Sorry I can't be in the room today. I know there's a lot of friends there on the panel and in the room. Look, a little bit of background. The Canadian marketplace legalized sports betting or single event sports wagering back in 2022, and Woodbine as a custodian of the custodian of the horse industry lobbied hard to have horse racing excluded from fixed odds wagering and maintain parimutuel status, and that was a really good decision for us at the time, and certainly one that protected the industry that supports over 23,000 jobs in the province. The OLG has been a long-time partner, and so the OLG being Ontario Lottery Corporation or Group is been our partner in the horse racing industry, supporting and helping direct funds to the horse people. They've been hamstrung in their ability to directly impact wagering, and this new opportunity came about after we integrated into Bet365 and did a parimutuel integration into our first partnership back in 2023. And we recently launched the OLG partnership about 2 months ago, just before our King's Plate. there was a heavy lift on the Bet365 and Woodbine team to create an interface for parimutuel wagering into their sports book that crossed over 2 different regulators here in Canada, so a complex regulatory environment. And we decided that we needed to build our own white label interface off the back of Woodbine's technology, and OLG was our logical partner to launch with first. Our partnership came about by mutual commercial interest in racing industry success, and then the partnership grew to really develop product integration, testing, customer panels. We were really able to work together cohesively to build a new product that seamlessly integrated into their technology stack and into their customer experience. It's been successful so far. We've seen a great pickup in the first 2 months, and clearly their customers and OLG has an extensive customer base as the Lotterie corporation that has been growing a database well before legalization of sports betting here in the province, and 65% of Ontarians play their products. So for us, it was very much a distribution play of how do we get horse racing into the customer's hands as a product opportunity, and now working with that lottery partner to drive that engagement level.
So congrats on that deal. Sounds very good. Talking about general solutions, could this agreement also bring traditional horse racing operator to offer sport betting products, in your opinion, Daniel?
Look, it's not directly in Woodbine's plans right now to go into that space. The Ontario market is, we like to think it's probably the most competitive sports betting market in North America and potentially the world. There's over 50 licensed operators working in Ontario right now. I wouldn't say no. It's not. We've got certain agreements. Our plan is really to drive this horse racing integration into a number of those sports books over the next 6 months, and some announcements to come on that. But at the moment, it's very much we'll look at any revenue opportunity to drive incremental revenue into the business to support the horse people, and if that one presents an opportunity that makes sense, we'd go into that area.
Thanks for now, Danielle. And Michael Fitzsimons is with us. He's surely a little bit tired. What time is it now, Michael?
It's not too late. It's 11 o'clock here in Melbourne.
Okay, so it's not too late. That's normal time when my boss calls me. So, Chief Wagering Officer at Tabcorp, talking a little bit about you. Coming from Hong Kong, how do you see your job at international level within Tabcorp?
Well, firstly, apologies I couldn't make it to Berlin. I was really excited to come. But as you know, we're going into our spring racing season here in Australia, and with the Melbourne Cup, with all the various races we have, with the Everest in Sydney, it's just too busy, I'm afraid. From the international perspective, in many ways, it's very similar internationally, Hong Kong and Australia. I guess where Australia difference from Hong Kong is just scale. I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about geography, the sheer number of race clubs that we have, the number of races, the fact that we have 3 codes running with dogs and harness racing. And we have the same fundamental challenges. What we do internationally, in many ways, is the same, but where we differ the most is we own PGI, which is first of all a hub for professionals, and we do pooling for international partners. We also export media rights and global content, mostly into North America, through our Sky International channel. So that's where we differ from Hong Kong. But the answer is really the same. We look to bring people together, and we look to uplift our product. We're on a journey ourselves here in Australia to uplift the old parimutuel product, and that's the same as Hong Kong, is the same in Australia. That's modernized tech. And when I left Hong Kong, we had a great project underway that was using smart contracts to match bets and to grow the pools and bring liquidity into Hong Kong from around the globe. And really that just goes into managing the ecosystem, how we bring professionals into the pools, how we manage that for the benefit of the full ecosystem for the customers, and work really globally to harmonize rules, to harmonize takeout rates, to work with our partners internationally. So that aspect is very similar to what we did in Hong Kong, or what I did in Hong Kong. albeit with the nuances that is the Australian marketplace and media rights.
And what's really interesting for us is Tabcorp has many commingling agreements around the world. So do you see more opportunities for this future?
Yeah, absolutely. Tabcorp is on a bit of a different journey to most people. In Australia, for legacy reasons, we've had three totes in Australia. We have the Queensland tote, we have the New South Wales tote, and we have the Victorian tote. And for 20 years, they've run them as three separate totes. So my job, first and foremost, is to commingle internally. So we need to merge the pools to make an Australian tote. We've done that. We've done the technology. We have to take that to the regulators, run that through the regulators and the clubs, the racing clubs, to get their approval. Once we've done that, we move on to, well, how can we bring the wagering, the other wagering providers through a wholesale model into the Australian tote. And then once we've done that, we go into product development journey, and that will bring us to international, whereby we have a product that is of interest internationally. We have wall-to-wall racing, wall-to-wall dogs, wall-to-wall harness racing, something that is of interest internationally, and something that we can bring partners around the globe into our pools, and we can export our liquidity to our partners internationally as well.
I'll be back with you in a moment. Let's take Jean-Luc in. How do you see the development on sport pool products progressing beside football? Everybody's talking about football.
Maybe I'm not the right person to ask the question, because in Switzerland, the situation that we experiment is not very positive in terms of sports pool. We have decided some 10 years ago to stop the operation of sports pool. And the reason is that our players, they consider sports pools to be in competition with lotto games in terms of volume, in terms of the size of the pool. And that's why also with the development of fixed odds bettings, of live betting, we have decided to stop this type of game. But nevertheless, I do understand that in other jurisdictions such as yours, there's a huge potential in terms of development with different sports. It's maybe the way to consider the development of sport pools, such as NASCAR, of course. But again, in our jurisdiction, it is something that we have decided for the time being not to consider anymore.
So Jean-Luc passed the ball to Keith. Let's talk about the US market and the worldwide market, as you experience as well as a few other our guests today. So what do you think, talking about the future in the next, let's say, 5 years, how could the future look like for sport pool products as well as horseracing products?
Sure. So, I think what you're going to see, well, certainly in the U.S. as sports is growing, but I think worldwide you're going to see a continued an increased merging of the products together. It makes sense to have the synergized offerings, as Jean-Luc was referring to. Customers are looking for more and more content, and they're looking for it in a single place, and they're expecting it. I like to say if it's done correctly, it's symbiotic, it's mutually accretive, that these do get merged and marketed together. The one thing we're seeing, everywhere is that there's 24/7 demand. It amazes me sometimes in markets to find out that there's demand in hours that you wouldn't expect there to be demand in. There's markets where as much as 20% of their sports betting is occurring between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. the next morning on events that are going on in other continents. So there's, with that type of 24/7 model, there's a demand for content, whether it's a Tuesday or Saturday or whatever the time of year is and whatever league is playing. So, racing and sports as content providers, I think, are highly compatible and will help meet that demand in a single place. But also, and we're here at the World Tote Association, so it's all about pools and parimutuel. But it's I think also parimutuel and fixed odds betting on the same content is also symbiotic, and if done right. If you take the best elements of both and apply them and use them where it makes sense, parimutuel where parimutuel makes sense, Fixed odds where fixed odds make sense and where the customer is expecting to see fixed odds. The two can coexist, together, and they would be complementary. So I think you'll continue to see this merging. I'll give one example where we've been doing a lot in Turkey, as an example, this past year, where the sports betting operators, the traditional sports betting operators, some 6 of them, outside of the TJK, which is the horse racing operator, have implemented betting on Turkish horse racing. And they've done it in both pari-mutuel and fixed odds betting formats into our platform. And we've seen, and I've been in the business 36 years now. I don't know of any stories like this, but we've seen the overall handle more than double, from approximately a little over $1 billion US to closer to $2.5 billion US as we speak. And it's just continuing to grow. I'm watching it every month go up and up and up, both on the Tote side, and the fixed odds betting side, in parallel. So it's a true example, in one specific market of how the combined products and the offerings to the end user can really be put together for the benefit of both. I think ultimately you'll see other markets follow this path. I think you may even see the U.S. follow this path ultimately, and I think they'll need to.
The year 2025 is nearly gone, so close to Christmas. Let's talk about 2026, the coming year. So what do we do in case of progress, more projects between lotteries and pool betting operators?
So yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues from the lottery groups for joining us. It's a very meaningful gesture for you to agree to come and to be part of the forum. It's very good. And we, I think from a pool growth strategy in general, which is, obviously another one of the inherent WoTA mandates, it only makes sense that integration with lottery operators that is, again, mutually accretive is the path to go. We've, as has been discussed, pari-mutuel is already intrinsic to core legacy lottery products. I think it's also synergistic in terms of to the ability that you can add additional content, whether we're talking about pari-mutuel sports and other elements. I think there's even more that we can do together in terms of a combined offering. From WoTA's perspective, we've decided that we definitely want to be working more with the lottery operators. We definitely see the benefit to us individually as individual operators and content providers. And we're going to continue, we're poised to continue participating in lottery association events and building those relationships and bridges. Most recently, within the last, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks, we attended the African Lotteries Association in Morocco, as an example. I think you'll see more of that. There'll be more outreach as an association, but as individual operators to try to enjoy the successes we can together.
Clearly invitation, and we hope it will be a successful way to go. So, Michael, last question for you. We heard a little bit about the next 5 years from Keith and what he thinks. Your opinion on sport pool developments? Last question.
I think Keith has hit the nail on the head. It's something where we can run in parallel to what's already in the market. We're never going to compete with in-play. We're never going to compete with single bets, but we can offer a product that complements in many ways and access global liquidity on sports. And that's through the products which only we can offer. And that's a truly global engagement where we have people from Australia betting against people from the UK, against people from America. And only pari-mutuel betting can do that. People who are sat at home betting on fixed products are betting against the house in their local state, but we can offer a truly global product. And look, we've seen sports, generally speaking, in many jurisdictions, sports is challenged in terms of viewerships online. We have a product, and not only that, handle is down in even many of the big sports as the fixed odds operators move towards high margin products, as they move towards same game multis. People tend to stake less in those. So as they come under pressure from these products, from viewership, we have a product that can complement, that can add something to it, can create, stimulate interest in their sports. Imagine a pick six Thursday night NBA global pool that they could advertise and of a huge jackpot. We know jackpots drive engagement. Something that could go global, and we could see how people in Australia bet against people in Hong Kong, bet against people in the United Kingdom. So I think we've an opportunity to do this, and I think it's never going to take over. It's never going to be the biggest thing in sport, but certainly I think it's a big opportunity. And I think Keith hit the nail on the head. It's hugely complementary to both sports providers and can sit alongside the fixed odds product.
So this brings us a little bit closer to the second panel within a few moments. But the closing round, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you, if you have any questions, feel free, and I'll join you with the microphone, that anybody can listen if you have any questions around. If there's no question, I have, Jean-Luc, one question. The main benefits as we come together from all over the world now. So main benefit from the international exchange, even if we heard now that it makes a huge difference wherever you stay or call your home.
Well, of course, I'm a strong supporter of the international collaborations. I'm one of the founders of the Euro Millions games in the Lotto environment. Euro Millions and then later Euro Dreams. We have demonstrated in creating the biggest European Lotto pool that we can be altogether successful if we share the games, but also the values, the way we operate our games, the brands, the fact that we give our profits back to good causes, that is also something very important. So whether it is a lotto type of pool, horse racing, sports pool, whatever, I think that altogether we can really make the difference in generating bigger pools to generate more expectations from our players, stakeholders, and beneficiaries. That is absolutely critical, and also something that is a strong differentiator when we try to differentiate ourselves from the illegal market, where obviously and by nature they don't have the possibility to have these cross borders and cross oceans sometimes collaborations that are able to generate games that are more and more interesting to the players. So I think that we should in any way develop these relations, these products, these games as much as we can.
Thanks for that. And one last question for Sachsenlotto, Schwarz. What do you think? We talked about the collaboration, we talked about the next 5 years with Keith. How long does it, from your opinion and side of view, because you're state-owned, how long does it take, how much time to get new collaborations?
Interesting question, because we are not the slow part of the game. Also, if we are state-owned, that's not the point, but we are operating in an regulatory environment that we have to consider. That's the point here. And we get asked about our opinions for different things here, but we cannot change. That's point one. Point two is collaboration starts every day. It's not that we work 2 years and then a big announcement comes out. We have to work on different areas. What can we do for our customers and our client base? What can we do in communication with the regulator? How can we inform the politicians about the points? And what can we do in a broader environment in order to inform about the good causes, what we do? And all of this are parts of the collaboration. Therefore, the question, how long does it take? We have to start. That's the simple answer. And then we will see.
And I think everybody worldwide would be happy to see more collaborations starting at that point. So I think thank you very much to all the panelists and participants here on stage and back home. And I'm sure Daniel and Michael are happy to hear your applause now, because they're far away, but if you do it loud, they can hear it. So thank you very much.